väcker inte lika mycket känslor. Tyvärr kanske får man väl säga då på nu för tiden. Sundstedt då som sätter mål för tredje matchen i rad. Hans 3 första mål för säsongen.
Hi again everyone, just having a look at this goal here that was scored by Storvreta, the team in red, who are heading this way, against Fagerhult, the team in white, who are defending. So just to set the scene, right now the red player behind his own net has the ball, so we'll start the analysis from there. One of the things I would like to look at is how Storvreta use depth to create space for themselves. And by depth, what I mean is the distance between their player who is the furthest back or closest to their net and how far that player is away from their highest player or the player closest to the opposition's net. So right now, Storvreta have a lot of depth in their formation. The player with the ball is behind their own net, so they can't really get further away from the opponent's goal than what they are. And as you can see, there are only 3 red players in their own zone. The other 2 are further up the court, probably quite high up from what we see when the camera pans across. Now, this creates space along the length of the court. The white team are playing a man-on-man defense, essentially. So they are a couple of meters at the most away from their defensive responsibility. You can see that with the pairings on camera now. And by the red team being spread along the length of the court, this has then created space through the middle area of the court that the red team, if they can get the ball into there, they can advance quickly towards the opposition net without running into any opposition players. So looking at this animation here, just take note of the distance between the white team's defenders and their highest player as the Storvreta player gets further and further away from the white team's net, that is deeper into the red team's own half. You can see that the distance between the white defenseman and their highest player increases, and thus the space in the middle section of the court is increased so that the red team can use it if they can get the ball in there. So the same concept also applies to width, and I have shown that in a couple of other videos, so I'll leave links to those at the end. But in this video, we're really looking at the depth and how that creates space, because that's something you don't see as often. Now, you can probably see from here, with all that space created, all that a red player needs to do is move into that space and be ready to receive the ball in order for them to use that space for an attacking advantage. And that is pretty much what happens here. So we'll move it through a little bit further. Okay, so you can see that this player here has led into this space. They've moved first into that space in the middle. This other player who did have the ball, they obviously saw that and they've played the pass straight to them. Now, the white player who is responsible for this player here is only a couple of steps behind them. You can see their stick is here, but that couple of steps is all that is required to exploit the space. And as we move through slowly here, you can see it's just a one-touch pass out, and that white player that followed the red player up, they're only a little bit behind, but that was enough for the pass to get through and for this player here who received the ball, this red player, to make an effective play. And that's because of a few things: the excellent reading of the play by everyone on the red team, and by the high level of skill so that they can execute passes between players with one touch. The other thing which I will note here, just in terms of attacking, is that this player was heading this way, and they opted to make a one-touch pass to this player who is heading this way. This is a smart way to play generally, because just have a look at the momentum of the players. Which way would you prefer to go? Towards your own net this way, or towards the other team's net down this way? The other thing that needs to be said about that is that if we have a look at the player's field of vision, this guy, when he received the ball, probably had a field of vision just looking at his own net. But this player, when he receives the ball, has a field of vision that includes the entire attacking portion of the field. So he's able to evaluate his options very clearly and decide whether to pass, shoot, dribble, or what have you. So we'll continue to move it through a bit further. You can see he's received the ball and cut inside. He now has a free passing option here because he's come in under these three players that are back checking here. And now there's a 2-on-1 against this last white defender with these two red attackers. He could have passed or shot here. Either was a viable option. He chooses to shoot, and he does so prior to any of the white players being able to get a stick in and disrupt the shot, similar to the last video which I made, which is a great option. Better to have the shot before the ball is disrupted, and then neither the pass nor the shot come to be, and it's an opportunity wasted. Okay, so just to recap and summarize, the players at either end of the court on the attacking team create the depth. Holding the ball deep at the back of the court stretches the defensive team along the vertical axis of the court and creates space. And then playing the ball to a player who is facing forward up the court is more of a threat than a player who is facing their own net with the ball. So that is pretty much it for the attacking portion of this clip. I will actually release another video dealing with the defensive portion, but in the meantime, I would love to hear what anyone watching this video thinks about the defense in this clip and whether they have their own analysis or their own thoughts. So leave a comment in the comments section with your thoughts on the defense, and then we can compare analyses when I do make the video on the defense. Likewise, I'm very interested to hear any thoughts on the use of verticality and depth to create space, and if you have any other examples of this being done, any other nice clips or goals, I'd love to hear it all. So leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Väcker inte lika mycket känslor, tyvärr kanske får man väl säga då på nu för tiden. Sundstedt då som sätter mål för tredje matchen i rad, hans 3 första mål för säsongen.